Good morning, my friends. The Touch Knot here. I'm up in the forest this morning, taking a little hike. It's July, MacGillivray month, the first week of July. I've begun to bring you some MacGillivray content. Cindy McIntosh and myself will continue to do that throughout the month. So I have here a Clanhattan journal. It's a small format magazine that's I don't believe it's in publication at the moment. It kind of comes and goes, but it's an excellent history magazine compared to the Touch Knot, which is more events of the previous year. All right. So for MacGillivray month, I have an article here by Peter MacGillivray from the 2004 number 4 of the Clanhattan Journal. This is entitled James McIntosh MacGillivray. It might take me a few segments to do this, folks. It's a very neat story about a MacGillivray in the 19th century. James MacGillivray was born in Oban, Scotland, 30th January 1851. His parents, James Sr., age 30, and wife Mary McIntosh, age 26, originally came from Aviemore, Inverness-shire in the 1850s. The family arrived in Portland, Victoria in 1853, James being the only child at this time, and first settled near Casterton, where his father worked large pastoral properties, a farmer. By 1860, they had moved to Penola in South Australia, where James Sr. worked as a shepherd. At the same time, however, he had purchased his first property at Lake Mundy in Victoria, between Penola and Casterton, naming it Aberfoyle. Very early in the morning, folks, but very sweaty and very hot already. Then in 1863, he bought part of the Myope Run near Penola, calling it Myope Park. He and Mary lived there until their deaths in 1894 and 1883, respectively. He had built up a fine flock of merino sheep and was a hospitable host with a large circle of friends, but also had the reputation of being a shrewd, hard-headed man of business, a MacGillivray. Young James, in time, was joined by 2 brothers and 4 sisters. He was expected to become a grazier and in part did so, but he was adventurous and was destined to have a rather different life. With considerable skills as a horseman and a fine shot, he seemed to be cut out for life as a soldier. In 1879, he joined the Adelaide Volunteers as a drill sergeant, having already served 6 years with the Victoria Mounted Rifles. During this time, he won many prizes for shooting in local and international contests. He also became a husband, father, and part-time grazier, managing Aberfoyle for his father. The girl he married in 1881 was Sophia Patterson, the daughter of Duncan and Christian, who had come from the Isle of Mull, arriving in 1853 in Australia at the same time as the MacGillivray family. Their property, Greenbanks, was about 12 miles north of Myope Park, and the 2 families became very firm friends. Further bound by this marriage and that of Sophia's brother Thomas to Margaret MacGillivray. That must be his sister, I would surmise. Then in the next generation, another Patterson boy married a daughter of James' younger brother Donald, who under the title The Celebrated Australian Horseman was the subject of an article in Clanhattan, volume number 4 in 1980. This journal has a very long history, folks. Very valuable document, not to be put aside. In 1894, James and Sophia, by now with 6 children, moved to Mount Gambier, where he joined up with local squadron of mounted rifles. In 1897, he had the honor of being selected as a member of the contingent that took part in the celebrations in London to mark the Diamond Jubilee of Queen Victoria. All the time, he was supplementing his income from his rural pursuits by his shooting prowess, often competing under the pseudonym of Calrossi, to either gain better odds or perhaps mislead his father into thinking he was busy on the farm. So he went by an assumed name, perhaps to hide from his parents. He was actually earning money at the targets. This man was a crack shot. In 1899, when war broke out in South Africa, James immediately volunteered, despite of his age of 48 years. In the first contingent, he arrived in Cape Town on November 1st. His youngest child at the time, who was to become Margaret Raquier's mother, celebrated her first birthday whilst he was in transit. I'm going to stop there, folks. Just a few minutes at a time, okay? Maybe it'll be 3 or 4 segments. And it's a pretty neat volume, as I said, and there's lots of stuff in here. I'm going to be referring to this over and over in the coming months for various clans, and to bring you some interesting stuff about Clan Hatton, and I hope you agree with that. All right? Touch not, my friends.